This is the best of three. Game one will be Lair Crest. The first time we have seen Lair Crest this evening. JonSnow versus MCanning.
Yeah, I mean, you're about to find that out because we do the repetitive caster introductions every game because that's just how it is in StarCraft. Ladies and gentlemen, in the top right corner, representing Flipside Tactics, give it up for the Red Zerg player, JonSnow.
And his opponent, also on Flipside Tactics, the Blue Protoss, it is MCanning.
So I said earlier today, or rather earlier about like 5 minutes ago, that I wasn't surprised of who I saw in the finals, but I am actually surprised, well, the semi rather. MCanning, I never really would have thought that he would be this far in the tournament because he's more of a streamer nowadays, right? Like, but he's so competitive. If you ever watch a stream, he's very informative when he does stream, but he's also like always wanting to win. So
IGM,
he's
man,
not.
he's really
Yeah.
good. I mean,
Yeah.
even though he is a streamer, he's very high GM. He can fight. He can put up a fight versus these players. And I think in the very beginning of this tournament, I was mentioning, you know, he's great. But then there's the experience of JonSnow, the experience of Huck, the experience of EJK, where they've just played a really long time. And I won't take anything away from MCanning. I'm not sure exactly how long he's played, but these other players have been in the limelight for a while. And we'll see how that factors into this. But to talk about what we're seeing right here, Lair Crest, of course, with the most recent updates, you have the Rocks by your third. So generally, as the Zerg JonSnow, you could flood Lings easily, a little bit easier, but for now, MCanning will have an easier time defending. You won't have to worry about that huge natural that you kind of have to sometimes semi-wall off. You know, there's only one way in for a little while, and that will benefit him, but every once in a while, tempo. I have seen some crazy drops on this map go down by Zerg, and I would not be surprised if JonSnow did it. However, he's got a quick third hatch.
Yeah, he's going to be going for that very, very early third hatch indeed. And it's not a 3 hatch before pool, but it is that hatch pool hatch. And he opted to go for the gas as well. And I believe that it looks like he will be pulling out of gases. Yeah, he's going to go ahead, get that speed upgrade here for the Lings. And I think what we're going to see here is a basic economic build, waiting to see what it is that he's going to scout. I think one of the most important parts is always to scout the gas of the Protoss player, whether you can get it with the Lings, with an attack, or even with an Overlord if you can do it. But I think if we see a third base come out of MCanning, he's gonna flood Lings. JonSnow will just like flood non-stop Lings until the end of time.
Yeah. It will be really important for JonSnow to identify as much as he can about the posture of MCanning because of that quick third hatch. And even sometimes, if you go Nexus first and then spot a quick third hatch, you can go double gate and punish it. This is one of the few situations where you can punish it not too hard. Looks like for now, though, JonSnow is going to go in for the scout, and MCanning is not really going to punish it at the moment. He's just saying, you know what, 2 base, it's cool. I'll go onto a quick third, maybe of my own for now. But, oh, Evo Chamber from JonSnow. Tempo.
Oh, you were
Is he going
right.
for a dropper +1? I think that may very well be what he's doing. There's a perfectly placed Overlord. Yet now you got to remember, the way the Lings get into that Overlord, because it's going slow, unless it's really slowly repositions, is going to be around the main army of MCanning and around his gate and his natural. They're going to take out those rocks if they want to get an ideal location. You can even see MCanning knows there's normally an Overlord there with that Stalker.
This would be better on the previous iteration of the map, but I don't see JonSnow being able to drop unless he makes it obvious. Yeah, sick wall out of MCanning at the right time, even canceling it right at the last moment, but he will remake that gateway. And what is JonSnow to do here, you know? Like, he wants to go for the drop.
Yeah, and that Overlord's going to get caught. As I said, the Stalker is so used to seeing that. And you got to remember, that Overlord could be on the other side of those rocks, trying to ferry Lings over to get behind the wall of MCanning. It's so much more easy to wall on this map now because of those rocks right there. But now you can see Lings working on it. MCanning shuts it down. He knows the meta. He knows this is going to happen, and JonSnow is now going to start transitioning into a more roach-based play. He's on 3 hatch. He's got a strong economy. He's not ahead in workers, actually. MCanning has a very slight economic lead, but now he's going to start being able to do that only on 3 gas. And, I mean, maybe at this point, do you get Overlord speed and go for a secondary drop and at least maybe just do a big drop into the third base?
Yeah, you might be right if he wants to utilize the Lings. I don't think they're going to be able to do too much here. So An Overlord speed drop would be really nice, especially because MCanning is going for that third. And the fact that he took it so safely means that the Ling Flood is not going to be that effective. JonSnow does have a lot of Lings though, so he is going to try to do something here, but the wall that MCanning has made and the fact that he's also making a few sentries, I don't think it's going to really work. So he's going to have to find a new avenue into the base of MCanning, unless he's scared. You know, JonSnow could be scared, like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah.
Still no.
He's got a wide array of units across the map, scouting what MCanning is doing, but he does not see this one lone Warp Prism angling on into the main base, hoping to get some damage done. Here's moving in. Lings are flooding across the map, and they're going to be completely out of position, and oh my word, this is not looking good. Ling's going to fall back to try to defend, but already 4 Adepts are out. Those Adepts completely nullifying any mining in this natural base. There is 3 hatches, but the workers aren't doing much. Ling's going to be here to defend, but you got to remember that Warp Prism, much larger space. Warp Prism gets on out with 4 fully healthed Adepts, and now these Lings, tempo, they can't be aggressive, and the third base of MCanning is basically secure.
Basically, right? Like, you wouldn't think that would happen in any other, or at least another patch, but the fact that those rocks are there, it makes it so much easier to take the third without making as many units. And I think it allows Protoss to be a bit more protective here, or at least more defensive, with only the Mothership Core and some good SimCity. So I do like the fact that he's putting a Photon Cannon there as well. And look at this here, Drenok. He already has a Robo Bay, but he's going to be going for triple Stargate. What the heck?
Oh, interesting. Very unique build. Now, he does have Disruptors. With this, he's pumping Disruptors, and oh man, an Overseer may spot this if it's quick enough. 3 sentries at the natural base of MCanning. Won't quite be quick enough to push it back, but there should be a Stalker. It's so badly the Scouter doesn't see it. Barely. It does see one Stargate. Sees only 1, but 3 Stargates, man. You know, it's not going to do the best for his Hydras, but potentially just Mass Phoenix. You don't have enough Hydras, you can just shut it down. Just shut it down.
Mass Phoenix is so powerful if you don't get killed, so having 3 bases is going to be really important as long as he's able to survive while he gets those Phoenixes.
The Observer scouts the entire army of JonSnow. MCanning knows exactly what's going on, tempo, and everything's falling into his lap. You do see JonSnow defending well, taking a macro place. Yeah, the creep spread is not good, and he's got an army, but he's kind of out in the middle, and I think tempo, what you said much earlier is completely correct. He is on the ropes, he's scared.
I think he's scared, yeah. He was expecting a push, and MCanning decided to take a third. Finally, JonSnow knows about it, right? No, he still doesn't, quote-unquote, know.
Oh, there it is, shut down. Beautiful.
I think that was more, I don't even know what that was. Was that 1 Adept or multiple?
It was 4 Adepts shut down in that mineral line, taken out, and the Warp Prism. So at least the kind of hanging, annoying thing in the background is taken out for JonSnow. But now, right after that, MCanning spots the 4th hatch of JonSnow. JonSnow had to take out the rocks, and he's now opened himself up more. He's going to be completely pushed out of position, and as you mentioned, tempo, no creep means you're going to be a slow Zerg.
You need to have creep in this position. Like, I think it's one of the most beneficial things as a Zerg. Even if it's cross positions, yeah, of course, that means that the Protoss has to go across the map, but imagine being horizontal right now, and the fact that you don't have to even really traverse along any creep. So JonSnow is looking like he wants to go for like the most ridiculous tech here. 1-1 melee, pathogen glands, he's getting infestors, and he's also going for hive. So he most likely will put down that ultra cavern as soon as it does happen, or rather the hive is completed.
There's going to be some lurkers out for JonSnow, but I just don't know if it's going to be enough. And just to note, it's 70 drones to 69 probes. Very, very even.
He doesn't have a lurker den, though.
They're going to be favoring.
He doesn't have a lurker den.
Oh, doesn't have a lurker. Oh, pardon me, Ravagers. Ravagers were being morphed in right there. He's not going to have lurkers. He's not going to have anything in time. And now he's going to get sectioned off with those rocks down. He force fields that. There's going to be a counterattack by JonSnow, but the rocks aren't down. And looks like MCanning is going to surgically move in, take out 1 base, maybe go for another base. And
needs a weapon. MCanning needs a weapon.
He's back. And the Ling just retreat. Surgically removes a base, and now there's the base, the Nexus for MCanning in the bottom left-hand corner. But it's going to be defended fine, and right now MCanning, he's got Disruptors, he's got Blinkstalkers, it's a very control-heavy force, yet JonSnow has nothing to force any of MCanning's hand. He does not have Lurkers, and Ravagers, they can force the Protoss's hand to either blink or disrupt, but still, it's just a really interesting position. It's a weird, wonky composition for JonSnow, I'll be frank.
Well, it's going to be melee heavy, there's going to be ultras, and the fact that he's committing so heavily to disruptors means that he's not going to have as many immortals. He needs to scout and see that he's going to be a lair. or rather a hive. Because if he doesn't know that it's going to be Broodlords or Ultra, there are two different responses. He has a Stargaze to deal with the Broodlords, but I don't know if he realizes what it is that JonSnow is going to be going for. He thinks it's going to be Lurkers, and it's not.
Yeah, with that lack of Lurker, you really have to have the little ringer in your head that it's gonna be Ultras as you're mentioning, and I love that it is Ultras purely because MCanning, yes, he's going Disruptor, yes, he goes Stalker. Not even talking composition-wise. MCanning likes his macro game. Oh, big moving forward, but there is the fungal growth. The Ling's going to get to surround. The Ravagers need to reinforce to get a couple Corrosive Vials. The Blink, there it is done. They can blink out of the way, but already some damage is done. And now with those Force Fields, it's got the Stalkers in a precarious position. Allowing Corrosive Vials to do damage. Double Storm is there, but the Lings are right on top of the army, and everything is falling apart for MCanning. MCanning with JonSnow taking a perfect engagement. Disruptors, High Templars, Storms there falling back, but there's not quite enough, and even the Mama Core is getting focused down right here. The Adepts and Stalkers barely are going to be enough to force JonSnow back. But, just like I was saying before, I love that JonSnow is deciding to opt for this little bit later game tech, because generally MCanning does like the macro game. He does like that late game, and JonSnow's utilizing that, but he took a beautiful engagement. It's starting to look good for him, Tempo. It's
looking great, and the fact that he's getting Ultras out is a big deal. A lot of the melee units do counter Disruptor. Ultras are a bit like, you know, they got a little bit more meat on their bones, okay? I'm just saying, but it's a lot harder to deal with melee units when it comes to Disruptors. You need the Immortals out, and I don't think he's realized it. He has to have, because he did drop a second Robo, but he's not producing Immortals. So these Ultras are going to blindside MCanning, and I think he's just going to fall apart. I just don't know.
Viper's coming out.
JonSnow, he doesn't have the tools.
Maybe JonSnow wasn't quite as good control-wise earlier on in the game, and his build didn't work out well. But you got to remember that early build, that was just a little build. That was, let's see if I can drop. Okay, if that doesn't work, I'm taking a macro stance. And after that, took a little bit of Adept damage, but he honestly hasn't taken that much damage overall. He did lose his fourth hatch, but nothing was mining there. And the only thing I'm worried about is the pylon in the bottom right-hand corner of the map for a counterattack from MCanning. But now, JonSnow's engaging into that. Ultras are out, and baby, these Ultras, they are 2-6 Ultras, very close to being maxed out 7-3.
A very important thing to note is now MCanning realizes the kind of situation he's in. He's making double Immortal, but is it too late, Drenok? You know, his army is looking quite pathetic at the moment. And there are
come on, Ultra, you got this. You got this. There we go. Bro Ultra. He's being a bro in the bottom right.
Yep. That guy's not going down. I feel like he gained health attacking that Zealot.
That's what like Ultras versus my bio is. It's like, are you am I healing you? Or my bullets? Are you eating my bullets? Is this some weird, sick Zerg mind game? And oh man. No, JonSnow's creep wasn't great in the beginning. He's starting to get it out there, really. I feel like JonSnow is just flourishing in the late game. This is where he wants to be, and it's going great for him. And this is where he wanted to be the entire game. That's why he didn't do much stuff earlier on. And oh man, yeah, you have a whole bunch of infestors in the south side. And just
you can
below
pull
your
the Disruptors when they disrupt.
Like position of, oh, great position. That's probably what I was wondering.
Oh boy. Well, here it comes. Disruptor gonna shoot the first one. Good feedbacks out of MCanning. Gonna take out those Vipers really quickly, and that means there are not gonna be any pulls here. Good Disruptor shots. What will they kill? Not too much here. The Lings do have Adrenal upgrades though.
There's so much AoE where JonSnow is not an AoE army. Yes, there's Lings. Yes, Disruptors are good, but they're unable to get ideal damage. And there's the fungal growth. Ultras are straight on top of them. A second fungal, literally the Disruptors are connecting but doing no damage. And here's the Storms. The Storms are great. But there's not enough Immortals to finish off these low-health Ultras, and they got MCanning on the run. Now, he does have a huge bank, he can warp in a lot, but also does JonSnow, and 5 more Ultras, 26 more Lings in tempo. As you said it, we have Broodlords on the way, and really right here we've seen an awkward map being cut in half, but it's cut in half by JonSnow. He said, this is mine, and you're not overstepping that boundary. I'm going to push you back if you do that.
He's doing an incredible job.
He's marking his territory.
I think that MCanning needs to utilize the Warp Prism a bit more. Like, he's trying to play a game where he builds an army that can actually fight the Zerg army, but he doesn't have it. Like, it's just not there, you know? This army is not going to be able to take out what it is that JonSnow has. He needs to get rid of the economy of JonSnow, but I think it is a bit too late, you know? He's on 4 bases trying to get 5, but the big problem here is that he wasn't doing it earlier in the game. And here comes a big army out of JonSnow. Only going to attack from one angle, though, so I don't know about that. DT's, if he was able to warp in He needs to warp in these DTs into the mineral lines of JonSnow in order to distract him, but he's not.
Yep.
He's just gonna try to fight it. And I mean, this is pretty good.
Fighting the power. Yeah, he's barely fighting, and he does have JonSnow on the run. However, with that, JonSnow's economy is all the way to the bottom right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hatch to 4 hatch, and maybe a 5th one trying to get up, but 1 Ultra Burrow is denying it. And there's no mining on this base. DT is trying to clean it up, and 7 Broodlords are on the way, and MCanning, pardon me, has now transitioned into non-anti-air. He's got 2 Tempests, but he doesn't have Stalkers. He doesn't have a couple Phoenixes. He doesn't have anything.
He has nothing. So when those Broodlords come, MCanning doesn't have a big bank where he can warp in a big round of Stalkers either. He knows about the Broodlords, by the way, now, so he's like, oh, crap. I need to do something about it now.
Oh, and it's a surround Broodlords on the right-hand side. Well, there's a huge fungal. The Mama Core doesn't teleport out, and there's nothing to kill the fungal. Or pardon me, Mama. Barely MCanning pulls back, but he pulls back into a 4th base, which potentially is his last mining base. He's got another mining base here, but man, it easily is going to get sniped. Looks like the Ultras are saying, okay, this is our job, this is our mission. If you choose to accept the mission, you may die, but they're taking that chance. They're accepting it, and MCanning, he cannot move into Death Alley. This is Death Alley.
He doesn't have the answers to Broodlords. He just doesn't have it. He has 2 Tempests. They're gonna get fungled, and now GG.
GG.
Point. Wow.
What a game. JonSnow up 1-0, and I think Tempo, you captured the entire game perfectly by saying, right now you have MCanning trying to make an army that can go 1v1 with JonSnow. JonSnow, though, has the army that no army can go 1v1 with. Those Ultras on full upgrade. No, I'm not joking. I'm not joking, Tempo.
No, it's true. No.
Literally, just mathematically, no army can go 1v1 and trade efficiently against those Ultras. And MCanning is used to doing that, but he should have gone with more a War Prism play, more pokey play, more guerrilla warfare Tempo. But I think you captured it perfectly in that game right there. And JonSnow also macroed beautifully. That's where he wanted to go, and his macro was strong.
It was, and JonSnow is very strong in the late game. He gets pretty aggressive in the mid game sometimes, but it looked like he didn't actually opt to get that aggressive. You know, he did a few pushes here and there, and then it wasn't until the late-ish game that he started doing those run-bys, the drops, and getting that tech that he wanted. No lurkers, by the way, just like scouting your army. What do you have? You're making disruptors? Okay, let's go melee. Every time you shoot a disruptor shot, you run the risk of killing your own units too.
Yeah, and you do run that risk, and that's also why Lings are beautiful. And you saw kind of the big evolution of the metagame. I go Disruptor, you go Ling, because Lings can surround and the Disruptors can't find clumps. Okay, I will go Storm now, try to do something versus those Lings, and there's a big evolution over that. But yeah, you can't beat Ultras. Ultra's good. Pretty darn good, bro.
Pretty good unit. I mean, I was talking about it earlier, and I think that the what is it, +4 armor? I think it's a little bit too much, man.
+4 armor is rough. It puts them up to 7 armor in total after +3 upgrade of armor. Yeah, it is real tough. But we have another 4v4 map, or pardon me, 4-player map, 1v1. In the bottom left-hand corner, from Flipside Tactics, it is the Blue Protoss MCanning.
Dun dun dun. Corner. Representing Flipside Tactics as well. Give it up for the red Zerg player, JonSnow.
Yeah, John Snowman. I think I should call him John Snowman.
Anytime in the winter time.
John Snowman.
John Snowman.
Should call him John Cena. Tempo and I have a long history with John Cena. If you didn't know, look up Tempo, Dreadnought, and John Cena in Google, and you will definitely not find anything about us.
On the Thanksgiving picture where, of course, we were eating turkey, stuffing, and
at his house.
cranberry.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. I'd be down. I'd be down.
Me and mashed potato.
Ooh, that sounds good. That sounds real good.
But,
again, we have both players, which, I mean, at least after game 1 and overall, my knowledge of them is they like the macro game. That is where they feel good. But you got to remember, in game 1, JonSnow, he's not afraid to open up with that drop. In Ruins of Ceres is another prime opportunity, prime real estate to get them drops off on Tempo. I'm not sure if MCanning is going to be able to ward it and push it back as easily as he'd like to in game 1.
Well, I mean, think about it this way, right? The fact that they're both going for very economic builds, MCanning going for the Nexus first, JonSnow getting that a hatch before pool, he goes for the gas. So, players like Snoot, they will kind of delay their gas in order to get as many
Some queens or drones, yeah.
You are right. Queens. Instead of using their larva for the lings, they always get queens out, or rather Snoot will rather get queens out and then drone up. So play super greedy and then rely on the queens to defend against the depths, even though they don't have the best DPS. But JonSnow likes to get the gas, and that means that it does open up the avenue for drops. It does open up the avenue for Roach Ravager, and it does open up the avenue for Ling Flood. So the options are there for JonSnow, and it seems like he likes to take things into the aggressive state if he wants to, or use that larva to get more drones and see where it goes in the mid game.
Tempo, man, I love Legacy of the Void because I keep wanting to say, and that's where Protoss is good, or that's where Terran is good. I keep wanting to say that. That's where Zerg has lots more avenues, or that's where Protoss has lots more avenues, specifically. But then I'm like, but they all have the lots more avenues. It's just, it's so good. Zerg, of course, has a lot more avenues to choose to walk down in early game Legacy of the Void, but so does everyone else. It's just mind-blowing. Hey, Tempo, I love Legacy of the Void.
See, I'm
so
actually
good.
Swarmhost almost killed my passion, but I'm really glad that it's at least grown to the game that it is today, and I hope it only gets better over time.
I really hope someone tries to bring back Swarmhost a little bit, not gameplay wise, but actually utilize them. Because I remember Pig, funniest thing, like first day Legacy of the Void. I don't know how long into Legacy of the Void, but Pig would be on a huge map, and he'd take 3 hatch before pool, and then go into harassment Swarmhosts, and just like.
Yeah, I've seen
just
that.
mess around, and I was like, that was cool. Like, I want to see someone do that. But no, JonSnow's not doing that. He's going for a drop while he scouts MCanning going for that quick third. I feel like we're seeing macro v macro, and the Zerg wins on the macro v macro right here.
I think we have aggression here, Drenok, man. Macro v macro, and he sees it, right? So I think JonSnow is going to be the one to draw first and say,
exactly.
All right, I'm going to be prepared for whatever tech you have. But then he's going to go for the drop, most likely. He's making 16 lings. It's 20. Yeah, look at that, man. There is no way MCanning is going to be able to defend 3 fronts at once. I think he's taking his third base a little bit too quickly in the positions that they are in on this map. I just don't think it's very safe to do this, but he's going to try to do it. And I think he's going to fall apart, man.
See, there's one Stalker right here. Only 8 lings to start it off, but of course there can be the elevator. Sentries are moved down to the natural base. There's voted overcharges the third to hold. But now we're going to see a drop into the main, and the Stalker is out of position. MCanning does not see this quite yet, but there he does see. Oh, he sees just a little bit of edge of it.
Oh, panic pylon. And now here comes from 3 fronts. Pylon getting overcharged at the third, but the lings are inside of the main. JonSnow is going to attack at 2 fronts for now, and he can make it 3 should he decide to get into that natural. But Mothership Core is trying his best and doing a good job. MCanning is doing an amazing job, by the way. Can we highlight that defense here?
Doing a great job in the main. JonSnow actually held position to all his lings, which allowed force fields to break them up. They didn't do damage. However, at the third base, he did accrue some damage. He sniped that third Nexus, and that's going to be great. It wasn't a cancel. It was a snipe, and now MCanning's got to stabilize. It's one of the big important things. He's only on 3 gateways. He can add on a whole bunch of gateways if he wants, but he almost has to go for another third Nexus, but it's just been denied. He can't exactly find another avenue, as we were talking about before. He can't exactly find this big place to throw everything into because that's where he was going, and there's another third Nexus, but he's into the link swell.
Yep, the ground army is looking pretty lackluster here out of MCanning, and I'm wondering why he, excuse me, opting to go for that forward base, right? Wow.
Yeah, the forward base is a little bit of a unique position. He does know where his opponent is, but he's got another gateway and pile on the right-hand side, something that MCanning is really starting to do. He does that all the time, and I'm surprised we don't see quite as many players. And I mean, Heart of the Swarm, you just saw Pylon speckled around just in case he needed to warp in. Why not have one in the top right? Why not give yourself that opportunity? However, right now he does not need to be worrying about that. He's moving out with a Warp Prism where he should be at home. He should be defending. Lings not pressuring the third, pressuring the natural, keeping the sentries, keeping the Zelts there, while the main base is going to be flooded once again. And this time, there are no sentries to disrupt these Lings. They can do their worst.
Yep, and they're going to go onto that mineral line here inside of the main, but the third is also under fire. There are 2 pylons, but the Mothership Core has run out of energy. Sentries are not going to cut it here. They are going to have some godly force fields. They need them. But, I mean, as soon as they are... Okay, good. I'm going to go ahead and hide out.
Oh, Adepts in the main base of JonSnow. They've killed a total of 4 workers. The drones were evac'd into the natural base, but the queen eventually pushes them back and they shade into the natural, where there's a full queen. JonSnow overall is looking great, and honestly, you talked about this a little bit before we got into this match tempo, that MCanning's definitely incredibly good, but he's a streamer, not quite as much a competitor, which he wants to be. He likes being a competitor. I feel like JonSnow understands the best of 3 a little bit better overall, and as I was saying, MCanning's done the same thing twice in a row, and it's starting to fail. He's not able to get up that composition to go army v army. He's got the same thing that he executes. He goes for the 1 drop, and he's got to start deviating if he really wants to be able to push back JonSnow. Almost want to call him JSnow. It's like in whatever you have. No, I feel like more like basketball. You got D Rose moving on the right. You got JSnow. Got MCanning. MCanning, JSnow. That's what I feel like is going on.
Well, you said he needs to kind of switch it up, but what do you think he needs to do? Do you think it is the War Prison play, or does he need to tech up? Or, like, I'm trying to think in my head, what do you do to disrupt JonSnow right now? The Adept has been defended against. The War Prison
would be bad.
DTs, I think, would be really great, yeah. True that. And he's actually
he's got a pylon on the right-hand side. He's got a gateway ready. That's what he does each game. This is like his signature thing. He's got the opportunity and potential, but doesn't quite realize it.
Yeah, I think what he needs to do is basically understand what unit comp that JonSnow's going to be going for, and then make his decision.
Lurker this time. Oh man, it's lurkers this time, and we've actually seen MCanning scout with Hallucinated Phoenix, which is something you don't see quite as much in Legacy of the Void. But he's spotted bases. Yeah, I agree with you. Why not scout in the main?
He doesn't know what to prepare for, and he doesn't know what he needs to make, so he's just gonna like hope for the best. So he's going for Immortals, which is okay. I think he already has charge. Yeah, he does. So he's going for the right unit composition. That Hallucinated Phoenix
spots Lurker down.
Yep, that War Prism is very important right now. So he's like, okay, Lurkers, what do you do to defend against, or what do you do to at least prepare against that? Immortal Charge Lot Archon is really good if you can target it down and not let them siege up your 3rd or anything like that. So get a good position here and make sure that you're able to deal with it. But like, problem here is that JonSnow's economy has been relatively uninterrupted this whole game.
While MCanning's has been interrupted a lot. I think generally with that macro style, he is used to being able to just throw minerals on the right-hand side of the map into that pylon he has, but he's been unable to, and now he's shown his hand. JonSnow knows there's something on the right-hand side, and he's going to go up pretty far right there. Won't quite scout it. There's the scout of it, but overall, I think really the key here is he's used to having a much stronger economy to be able to do lots of warpins right and left, but at least he pulls the army out of position. The Hydras and Lings on the right-hand side while his main force moves through, but honestly, a couple Lurkers get out, it's going to be rough. He's got charge lots, but not with the main force. There's not that many. Or does he even have charge? He does have charge, but he doesn't have his house with that main force. He needs Zealots, or he can't get on top of the Lurkers. Immortals are great, but not unless he can get on top of the Lurkers.
Well, he's gonna try to get... No, he says, nah, F that, I'm out of here, bros. Can't deal with that right now because his army is... I don't know where it is or what's going on here, but his army's not that scary. Like, it's a lot of Immortals, so that is one thing you need to pay attention to. But, like you said, the charge lots, whether they're gonna be going to warp it on the other side of the map, or whether they are there to flank the Lurkers and draw the fire to the outside while your Immortals and Archons come from the inside... I love the Warp Prism play. Double Warp Prism, by the way, Draenok. This is beautiful. He's at the 4th base here of JonSnow in the top right. I don't think that he's actually responding to it. But I don't know about this attack. He's walking into the Lurkers.
But he's got to be so careful. Lurkers are pinwheeling around on the right-hand side to form a surround. The force fields will keep a majority of the Hydras and Lurkers out, but now it looks like some of the Lurkers were sectioned off. It's still taking damage left and right. MCanning is getting torn down, but at the same time, he's doing a little bit of damage. Finally, it is cleaned up, and I just note that I feel like MCanning is playing like more of a Heart of the Swarm style without Cyclones. I can't remember what they're called.
Colossi.
I literally couldn't even remember what they're called. Without Colossi, you know what I mean? It's the I'm going to get a death ball and go punish you. Well, it's just not where he wants to be, but he's playing well. He's trying to hold on. I think right now he needs a big warping of those Zells to accompany his main force. He has this is a first for a Protoss. He's got too much of a tech-heavy force. He needs some more Gateway basic units to accompany and meet shield with them.
Like, I feel like his army is just not going to be prepared to deal with it. Like, he doesn't have the AoE. He lost a lot of his High Templar, and he tried to make them into Archons, but he never replenished them either. So if you're going to be going for your AoE as a High Templar, you need to continue to make them here, and that's not going to be the case here. MCanning, I think, is going to get choked out here. I just don't see him being able to actually deal with the Lurkers right now.
I agree with you, but I'm not going to give up for him. Looks like he's going to make his final stand. The barriers and some of these Immortals will buy them a plethora of time, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Hydras with a full surround push the Immortals back up into this right hand, this fourth base position, but really right now, it's the third of MCanning. He's only got Immortals. He needs some meat shield, but the meat shield is not there. Lurkers killing any Warpins, any else.